Hi, everyone. So glad to make it to join me today for this live stream. Today, I am going to be talking about how you can use your time to make more money in your business. We've talked a lot about setting some goals for yourself by managing the 5-part profit formula. And if you don't recall what those are, if you haven't seen that yet, make sure you back up and watch those videos. But the 5-part profit formula in your business deals with having more leads, more of those into customers, getting more transactions with your customers, having the right products or pricing for your products and services, and also making sure that you have good profit margins in your business. Again, if you're live here, if you haven't been watching a lot of these videos, just like to introduce myself. Again, my name is Crane. I'm a business and marketing strategist. I help small business owners implement strategies in their business that can sometimes create opportunities for thousands of dollars to be generated in their business, both top line revenue as well as bottom line profit margins. Well, I've been talking about this 5-part profit formula and how you can use this to train your business. I've talked about how to set goals for the 5-part profit formula, and talked about how you can begin to streamline your business. So this whole focus, everything that I'm talking about today, is what you can do as a business owner to begin to put your business into recovery mode, so we can start to come out of all of this shutdown stuff, so you're in really good shape and you're ready to go forward and start putting your business back into motion. So that's the whole goal. That's everything that we're working on right now. So today I want to talk a little bit about how to use your time to make more money. This is an area where I don't know if you've experienced this before. I certainly experienced this as a small business owner myself. There are only so many hours in the day, and trying to prioritize things get done each day is always a challenge. Now, using that 5-part profit fund that I just ran through, those are the areas where you should really be spending the majority of your time, or I should say 20% of your time that you do spend there is what generates percent of your revenue. So the more time you can spend focusing on those 5 parts in your business is going to help you be more profitable in your business. That means a lot of self-management to run your business. So today I'm going to give you some tips for self-management to make your business more profitable. And here's what I have found. And this is true across the board in kinds of training that I've been involved in with frontline managers, directors in corporations, small business owners, other people that I have worked with. And it comes down to this. People often confuse being busy with being successful. And those are not necessarily the same thing. So if I were to ask this question, time actually were money, how would you manage yours? What I have found is a lot of small business owners in particular tend to be a little bit better managing their money than they are managing their time. But in many ways, time is much more precious than money. There are only a finite number of days that you get to spend on this earth. And the reality is, none of us know when that's going to become. We're just like a wisp. We're like a vague cloud on the wind. Our life could be over at any moment. And certainly, this crisis we've been going through has proven that. Time is very valuable. It's very precious. So while money is something that you can spend or you can acquire, you can always get more money. You can't get more time. So here's some statistics that I ran across. So let's say that currently you are 35 years old. Hey, there, I just, for some of you, I just made you feel a little bit better. Let's say you're 35 years old, and let's say that you have a life expectancy of only 5 years. And yes, I know some people's life expectancy is beyond that, but for these statistics, this is what I found. So basically, at age 35, you've got a 40-year life expectancy. So at this point in your life, you have already spent 12,775 days on Earth, and you have 480 months left to fulfill your destiny. You plan to retire at the age of 50. That means you have only 180 months left to make enough money to retire. And by the way, that a lot of financial advisors out there are saying that $1 million is going to be sufficient to live on. I don't know about you, but I'm apparently planning a little bit longer in retirement. I did some hard calculations myself, figuring out how long it would take to do my retirement based on my life expectancy, also figuring out what it would take to accumulate. I found out that for myself personally, also taking into account inflation. Sometimes financial advisors get inflation into account. I found that it would take $4 million to have a comfortable retirement. And that's with an average of about $60,000 a year to live on. That kind of a lifestyle. $4 million is what it's going to take that you have to acquire in 180 months if you are current 35. So in those months then, in those 180 months, 1,440 days are weekends. So that means you really only have 3,600 days to make it all happen. So what are you waiting for? It's time to stop being busy with being successful. So the fact is, many business owners who are just like you actually manage their money as if it were more precious than their time. And here's the reality. Many business owners, much like you, I'm sure, their business, choose their own hours, spend more time with their family, and be their own boss. And certainly there is nothing wrong with that. Those are great reasons to start a business. But along the way, the only goals that really mattered became the financial ones, or the only item that I consider to be worth measuring and managing was the money. Your time will never be managed for you. That's not the kind of thing that you can outsource. You find a banker, a financial advisor, a bookkeeper, you can outsource money management. You can't outsource your time management. You have to make a decision to spend your time wisely. And by the way, while I'm saying this and I'm pointing at the screen, this is obviously coming back at me too. I also have to be aware of managing my time. So to take ownership of your own schedule and use the power to change things that aren't for you. This is what you need to do. I'll show you a few tools to get started. First, let's take a look at what take a look at what your time is worth. And we're going to attach time to something to help you with your decision making. So here's what you need to know if you figured it already. Your time does come with a price tag. And sometimes it may be lower than you think. So here's what you need to do to determine what your time is worth based on your annual income and the number of working hours in a year. So I'm going to have you write down some numbers. Here's the first thing that you want to do. First thing, write down your target annual income. What's that going? How much do you want that? So let's see, I'm going to use a calculator because if I haven't told you this already, I was a music major and my math consists of counting to 4. So calculator here. And let's say that I like nice round numbers. So let's say that $100,000 in a year. This is what you want to take away to your annual salary. Now, say that the number of working days in a year, there are only 230 once you take out holidays and weeks. 235 days in a year that you can work. Now, working hours in a day, it would be nice to say 8 hours. The reality is when I talk to a lot of business owners, sometimes it ends up being 10 hours or 12 hours a day to get the work done. And I'm sorry, but it's not, you don't want to be working that long every day. You're going to get burned out. You're going to get tired. Maybe you're ready. Or call me. Let's talk. Let's take care of this. So let's say that it's 8 hours that you're going to be working in a day, but the reality is you've got other things you do. It may only be 7.5 hours of productive time when you're actually focused and working on something. The reality is it may even be less than that. I've got some more statistics I'm going to share with you. So your working hours in a year then only come to 1,645 working hours in a year. So we've got 235 days times 7.5 hours gives you 1,645 hours that you can actually be working on the job. You take your annual income that you want to earn. I said we're going to try $100,000, and we're going to divide that by the number of hours that you have available, 1,645. So what I find then for $100,000 a year, what that means is that your hourly rate is $60.79. So I told you I was going to do some more information on your working hours. It's also not realistic, and there have been time studies done on this in corporate settings. Maybe you've run across these too, but all 1,645 hours in a year are not necessarily productive. Actual productivity in your day may only be anywhere, some studies put it anywhere between 25 minutes where you're actually productive, all the way up to maybe only about 4 hours a day. So that is a huge amount of room for improvement in your day. This calculation also simplifies things. It doesn't take account things like overtime hours, taxes, expenses that you may have. If you work in a space business for an hourly rate, it doesn't factor in any costs you have to provide your services. But the point, this is just a starting place to understand what your time is worth. So when you start thinking about time management, the goal is to get more done in less time. That makes sense, right? And everyone who's watching this probably could have come up with that formula. That's nothing new to you, I'm sure. So that's how you can increase your hourly worth. Plus, you get more benefits like being able to leave work early and go spend time with kids, go be with the family. So there are 5 major things that can drain your time, but it's real easy to fix the leaks. So according to these activity studies, the number one drain on practically everyone on the planet is email. Email is a constant distraction, especially if you're the kind of person who gets to sit at a desk in front of a computer. You've got that email in front of you all the time. When that program is running all the time, emails they distract you, break your concentration. Or if that's not, you may find yourself checking for messages every 10 to 15 minutes, reading and writing, and responding to emails. And this can easily monopolize your time because email never goes away. It always seems to be and important. So think about the 7 habits of highly effective people, that urgent versus important diagram. Email always seems to be urgent and important. But you need to ask yourself, is it really? No, maybe getting quotes out, maybe responding to customers and clients, maybe that is important. One of the things that you can do, though, is you can turn off notifications for your email and set limitations in your schedule of when you will respond to email. So let's take a look at the next time sucker that a lot of people deal with, and that is your cell phone. Right here beside me on my desk. Probably not a great place for my cell phone to be. Your cell phone does give you increased freedom from your workplace, but it takes away from your freedom to choose when to work. It's easy to work outside of the office, but this means that you could also work evenings and weekends, and you should be spending time with friends and family. And again, thinking about 7 habits of highly effective people, that's when you should be sharpening the saw. That's when you should be taking a mental break from work. You should be doing what you enjoy that re-energize you and revitalize you to make you want to go back into work on Monday. All right, so let's talk workplace now. Open door policy is another potential time sucker. Yes, you will be available to team members and to your staff, Sometimes you have to make yourself accessible. It's possible, though, to make yourself be too accessible. Open door policies have the potential to create a daily rush emails, employees lined up at your door seeking answers for trivial things that come up. Things that could wait until on one forum, things that could wait until a meeting. But when you allow those constant interruptions, again, you're breaking your concentration, you're breaking your flow. Now, let's talk about meetings. Speaking of meetings, they're a huge time sucker, and this is a huge pet peeve of mine. Attending meetings that are unstructured, unnecessary, that just run on with no point and nothing gets decided at the end of the meeting. I hate those kinds of meetings. I don't know if you do either. They can gobble up hours of time for no reason at all. As a business owner, your is probably going to be requested at all kinds of meetings. Ask yourself, though, is it required? If you're lucky enough to have a team who's working for you, you've got a couple of managers, the whole point was to delegate things to them. You really be there to be part of that. Days that are spent in back-to-back meetings often mean your workday doesn't start until the workday is actually done. And then you still have all of your work to do. All right, now let's get to the hardest one. The worst time suck of all might actually be you. Effective time management is actually a choice. Everyone is guilty of letting themselves sabotage their ability to work productively and efficiently at times. Me too. It's easier to look out the window, which is right here next to my desk, and to think, oh, it'd be so nice to be outside today instead of working, sharing information with you about how to make your business more productive. We fall into from time to time. So here's what some studies show. So here's a quote, a mentor of mine, Carl Bryan, who's a CEO, and he says, it takes the human minutes to focus. And if you interrupt it every 7 minutes, you have a huge problem. And that is right in line with research that I have read when I worked in corporate settings, saying that multitasking is a myth. 15 minutes actually short to try to get refocused, get into a flow, get on a roll work that you're working on. The studies I've read said that it can take 20 minutes to get refocused after you take a break. If you think that you can send an email while you're trying to read this report, while you're trying to prepare this quote, you are in a flow for one of those tasks. It takes 20 minutes to recenter and refocus and actually give really good attention and quality work to each of those items. So here's what you can do to be proactive and be productive about this. Take some time to figure out where your time actually goes so you can see some leaks in your time management you're repaired. You can use worksheets, you can use tally sheets, you can use your own calendar, use if you want to, whatever you're using. But I recommend that throughout a couple of days, you take some time and actually write something down and figure out where your time is going to be spent. So my recommendation is for 3 days and do a time audit for 3 days. Record how you spend your time in detail for those 3 working days. And yes, I know it's annoying, it's frustrating, it can be a lot of work. It's going to be so important to know where your time is going so that you can be more productive with your time. Be honest with yourself. Try to be as specific as possible. If you know something about what you're doing or which distractions have the greatest negative impact, then take some notes about that as well. The more information you can record during this 3-day time audit, the better armed you will be to make some changes. Next, take a look at your time records and categorize the different ways you spend time. I'm sure that you probably come up with about 5, I'm guessing, 5 different ways to spend your time each day. Use some colored markers, highlighters, and blocks of time that you spend on various activities. And you can create your own activities, or here's a few that you could use. Maybe you travel to meet with someone to get to the job site. So that you log that time. Keep track of where your travel time is. How much time do you spend in preparation of your personal errands can be another sucker. Exercise can take up time. Now, I'm not saying don't do it. Obviously, exercise isn't. Be aware of your time. What about watching TV? Sleeping, including your naps that you during the day? How about personal computer use away from work? Being with family and friends? Attending internal meetings? All the time you spend with email that we talked about already? Attending external meetings outside of business? Telephone, so checking and returning messages? Doing administrative work? I hate that. Sometimes that's why we hire other people, but it's some place where you spend time, so you need to log that. Client work that you're doing for clients, and you're not tracking client work, it's a good idea to start doing that anyway. Non-client work or administrative work. There are other things that happen in business. Next step then, based on these categories that you created, go through all of your days and decide if you have spent enough, too much, or too little time on each of those main tasks. And based on your observations and these questions, how do you notice how you spend your time during the day? Times of the day are you most productive or least productive? You could think about it that way too. When are you the most interrupted during the day or the least interrupted during your day? Write down the 4 highest priorities in your life right now. And does your timesheet reflect those priorities? You know, some motivational, and I'll show you where your priorities are. How about your calendar? What does your calendar like, and does it show off your priorities? If you had more time in the day, what would you actually do with it? What would you choose to do? Could you remove some of the items that you would spend less time on and add some items that spend more time on? And ask yourself why or why that wouldn't work. Also, is procrastination a problem for you? And how much? So let me give you now effective strategies for improving your time management skills and getting more done in less time. So these strategies will help you take charge of your schedule, use your time in a more effective manner. So take some notes here, or if you want to, rewind this video and watch it again. Choose maybe 5 or 6 of these strategies to try and take some notes as we're talking. Just decide which ones you want to try first. Now, this is an individual process. It's going to be different for everyone. It's okay to try a few different things and see if you can get some results. You're going to test things out. Just try it out. It's okay to fail if it. So here's some of the things that I do for myself and with my clients that I work with. First, we take a look at priority tasks. The reality is you do everything. Decide what is deserving of your time investment. Choose what needs to be completed now, what can be done later, or what can be delegated to someone else. And I use a strategy that I refer to as cake versus cringe, when I go through this exercise with my clients. Focus on your top 3 priorities at any one time. Consistently revise your list so that the highest priority items are on the top and the lowest priority items are on the bottom. Then, since we talked about delegation, that's the next step. Since you can't do everything, you need to decide what only you can do or what others could do. And maybe it's something that you can get it started and then you can hand off to someone else to finish. Think about that as an opportunity as well. You also need to come to a realization that it may be faster for you to complete the task. Initially, spending the time to teach someone else to complete the task might actually save you hours later. Communication is a vital leadership skill that it would be in your best interest to develop and refine, to practice and master it, because you also are a manager and a leader of your business. Focus on your skills. So if you have a good understanding of your strengths and weaknesses, you can use this to your advantage. And if you don't have a good understanding of your own weaknesses, there's some great assessments out there on the internet. Some of them are for free. Some do have a little bit of a cost to them, but those are so valuable to understand where you are most and where not. I like to quote leadership John Maxwell, who says, if you spend time focusing on your weaknesses, improve your weaknesses, all you end up with are weaknesses. So it's good to understand what you're good at and maybe what you're not quite so good at. An effective way to manage your time is to do what you know you are good at, what you are wired for, and then delegate or outsource those areas where you are not as strong. This is where you find a team to come together and you complement each other. You work together. Tough strategy. Say no. Learn how to say no and back so much of your time, hours every week. It's easy to want to say yes to something in the moment, and then later you feel overwhelmed because you've added too much to do on your to-do list. You may feel pressured to say yes to everything as a business owner, but you do have a choice to make. Ask yourself, is your core business about? It's the differentiate what to say yes to or what to say no to. Stick with your core business. All right, next strategy. Keep a strict schedule. This is where I sometimes use the term be ruthless about managing your schedule. Create and keep this strict schedule for yourself that supports productivity and minimizes distractions. Include personal and work time in your schedule. Schedule time for things like closed door work, work planning. That time to think is so important. You need to put that on your schedule too. Schedule time to email and phone messages. Have blocks a day for internal and external meetings. Allow me time, and make sure that you schedule the family time and exercise into your day. Another strategy: decisions. You need to make decisions quickly and efficiently without time with too much deliberation. You can only make the best decision information you have in the time frame you make it. No one expects you to be able to see the future. Be decisive, make some mistakes. That's going to be possible, and then learn from those mistakes. Don't wait too long. Get more information or better information. Be decisive now. Another strategy: manage those interruptions. Establish which of the day you are most productive, and then set those hours aside and don't let anything happen those hours. Keep those for yourself to finish up important tasks where you can be interrupted. Schedule open time for other time, and then have those closed door hours when you are most active. Schedule windows of time for reading and replying to emails and answering and replying to phone calls. All right, next strategy. Manage interruptions and avoid duplicating efforts. So take note of how many tasks are completed more than once through your 3-day time off. So notice how many tasks completed by more than one person, and maybe that's not necessary. Establish clear communication systems and procedures to minimize that duplication of tasks. And make sure all of your team members have a clear understanding of their roles and responsibilities. This is another area where I work with clients to establish very clear roles and responsibilities. We do elaborate process maps so that we know what the entire customer experience is, beginning and then beyond. We come up with some pretty elaborate process maps. But that just helps your business be so much more efficient, because then everyone knows what they're in charge of, when it's supposed to be done, and what happens next. If you don't have those kinds of process maps in your business, again, give me get those set up for you so that your business can run more efficiently. Use tools like checklists, meeting minutes, and individual task assignments to minimize miscommunication and duplication of tasks. And finally, the last one, stop procrastinating. And another thing I'm saying to myself, I have to say this to myself frequently. So if you are a seasoned procrastinator like I am with years of practice, the idea of just stopping is usually much better in principle than it is actually in practice. The best way to overcome procrastination, use your willpower to stop. Refining this skill will prevent you from procrastinating in the future. Working in blocks of focus time with breaks or at the end, break those big tasks down into small, manageable ones. Now, another thing that I do to help clients is I actually offer accountability service. So I have a lot of clients with this procrastination. I've helped to write books. I've helped people to get their day organized, to get into a routine. I've helped people to who reach the pinnacle of their career a little too early. Maybe they didn't have big enough in the first place, but I help them to set bigger goals and to establish a route chase after those goals. I've helped several people through accountability. Procrastination is an area that I can help with for accountability services. I'll put that link in the, it's accountabilitycrane.com, and you can find out more about that. Now, effective time management is just a formal way of saying that this is about how you spend your valuable time. And that's what it really comes down to, about making good choices with your time and a structure that will enable you to succeed. You need to out a few of these strategies and some of the structures that I'm see what's going to work best for you. So time management is a personal decision. It's a personal investigation that you have to look into, and it's going to look different for everyone. You can take some time from other people, you can meet with other business owners and share tips and tricks, but then you're going to have to go try it out for yourself and see what works for you. Some people can work in the middle of a loud, crowded room in a coffee shop, and that's fine. Others need absolute silence. They need to go to one of those co-working spaces, shut themselves in one of the small rooms there so that they can function at a very high level. So the important thing is respect your needs for what you need to do for time management. Well, there's a lot of information with you there today, and I realized I didn't come back to that one calculation that I mentioned, where we were taking $100,000, dividing that by the 1,600 some odd hours, And we said that your hourly time was only worth about $60. Now, if your salary is greater than that, if it's less than that, you can do that calculation yourself. But here's where that calculation is important. If there are things that you do in your business really are taking time away from you, if you could hire someone else to do than your hourly rate, so at $100,000 a year, if you could hire someone to get that done at less than $60, do it. Get it off of your plate so that you can focus on those 5 modes that I talked about, the profit formula. It's a little bit of a stir. So use that time calculation to help you make some decisions so you can spend your time where it matters more. You can spend more time you can spend more time bringing in more revenue in your business or growing your business. It's less than your hourly rate to hire someone else to do it. Do it. Get rid of it. Make it go. All right, everyone. Thanks for watching today. That's today's strategy for this your business. Get back. So spend some time this week auditing your time and thinking about ways that you can time. That's your, if we want to call it an assignment, but that's your business strategy this week to generate more revenue in your business. So try some things out, to find some things that work for you. And until next time, to your success, and some more tips in the next video.